Please welcome, with lucky number, Daniel Tratham. Daniel Tratham.
Lucky numbers. Please raise your hand if you have a lucky number or some lucky numbers in your life. Fantastic. Well, one of my lucky numbers is the number 7. And the reason that 7 is really important to me, there's two stories around that. So the first one, going back to 1993, it was the 6th of July, and my young cousin gave me a toy. It was a rubber toy. It was in the shape of a train, like Thomas the Tank Engine, with a big number 7 on it. And the next day I was taking my 7th driving test. Yes, you've heard me correctly, the 7th driving test on the 7th day of the 7th month. 3 7s. In my eyes, quite lucky. I passed. A massive, massive achievement for me. I was working nights at that time, and that's the reason why I failed, honestly. If anybody wants a lift to the pub afterwards, please come and see me. But moving forward, to 2005. I was back in London with Sally, been engaged for a year, and Sally had been made redundant from the bank, and she just got a new job at HSBC Private Banking. Very good job. It's actually where Prince William did his posh work experience. Nobody's allowed to look at him, he wasn't allowed to touch him or approach him. So, on the Monday morning, I escorted Sally to work. We got the train to Charing Cross, walked up through Trafalgar Square, past Nelson's Column, and I walked Sally most of the way to a new job, which is near St James's Park. And I worked just off Oxford Street. So, gave her a little kiss and cuddle, as you do, walked off, and she had to walk about half a mile. I sort of waited around a few minutes, and we waved at each other lovingly, as you do, and I did a quick jog up Wardour Street to where I worked. Now, I used to get in about 8:30, 8:45, I had to be there by 9 o'clock. So, this very morning, normal morning, and didn't think anything of it. About 9 o'clock, one of the girls said to me, "This is really weird, there's been a big power surge on the tube line." I was like, "Oh no, nightmare, I've got to get home tonight. What am I going to do?" Generally, I used to jump on the tube and then get the overland back home. And then there was a bit of commotion in the PR manager's office. So we all sort of rushed over, and on Sky News, on the big plasma, we saw potential terrorist threat, massive news, the video print at the bottom was going mad, telling everybody that there was 3 threats and 3 bombs that had potentially gone off, unconfirmed. Everyone was quite panicked at that moment, and what we did, we actually tried to phone our friends and loved ones to see what was going on and where they were. And all the mobile networks had gone down at that moment. The security services had pulled the pin. It was a real bizarre, I suppose, surreal time to be in London, because there was lots of thoughts going through my head. And at 9:47, we heard a boom! And in the distance, about 1 kilometre away, a big mushroom cloud was hanging over Tavistock Square, and then we knew it was really a bomb that had gone off, and it wasn't a very nice feeling. No one knew what was going on. I panicked at that moment because not a lot of people knew, but Sally was pregnant with our first child. So I was thinking, okay, what can I do? Okay, I don't know. There's no phone number at work, first day at work. I don't know anyone to contact. Google. So, jumped on Google. Bizarrely, the landlines were still working, and the internet. So I jumped on, tapped in HSBC Private Banking. I've got a trading floor phone number. So I phoned up the number, spoke to a lady called Sabrina. I still remember her name to this day. And I said, "Hey, explain my situation about my wife starting work that same day. My my fiancée at the time, who's now my wife, and she helped me get a message to Sally to say I was okay, and I found out she was okay. About an hour later, we found out there was numerous people that had been killed, the buses was mangled, there was suicide bombers, British-born suicide bombers. It came out later, which is quite unreal from my perspective. A very, very sombre moment, hearing the news that there were actually British-born people that had done it. What actually transpired that day was amazing, because I did get a text message come through from my dad telling me his friend Bob was working in Leicester Square, and if I get to him by midday, I'd get a lift home. So I managed to get out of work. We had a lockdown, but I pretty much told my boss, I'm going. If you like it or not, you can sack me. So up yours. So I ran down Oxford Street. It was pretty quiet. Ran the back of Selfridges up to St James's Park to the bank. Got Sally, met my dad's friend Bob. We drove home. Now my house from central London, my parents' house at the time where we were staying, is 11 miles. It was 5 hours to get home. And it was like a zombie movie or an apocalypse movie, because there was no transport. People were walking along the roads. The pubs were packed. Doing the roaring trade. Hotels were packed. And the stories that came out of that, romances, people met that night or that day, sharing floors, sharing people's couches. It really hit home that Londoners really rallied at that moment of crisis. So I just want to ask you to take a moment and have a think about that. Because what the Mayor of London asked for 2 weeks later was for 2 minutes silence across London. He asked for all the Londoners to come out and show their support, come out of their offices, come out of their houses, and stand and respect those people that have perished and who are injured. Over 700 people were injured that day, the 7th of the 7th, 2005. So I went to work that morning. Got my colleagues, got my team, we went out early, and what I remember was hearing all these different voices, different languages, different skin colours, looking around at the diversity of London. And at that moment, at 11 o'clock, where we was asked to be silent, it was impromptu clapping, which went on for 2 minutes. And I feel it now, my goosebumps. I looked around at the people with me. I had 2 flies in my eye. It was quite emotional. And what we knew at that moment is, if you can get through that, you can get through anything. And I was very lucky not to be one of those stats on that morning. Thank you.